Hello. Welcome on in. And so, why don't jump straight into it? So, I was thinking next time menu sprites, and I'm thinking, and then, that was me getting eager last time, and realizing, well, you know what? No. Because we're not making, that'll be useful for when we make an actual menu. Oh. One. Review here. And put it on total shuffle mode. There you go. That can work. And yeah, so now we then make a brand new layer once more. And upon this, we write, what are the goals for today? We gotta come up with those two. I've had them in my head many times and I keep on forgetting. So we're at the 22nd of 26th of January. Jesus Christ. January just flying by. Anyway, who knows? Maybe we'll, I don't know, pivot and turn it into an art stream or some shit. We'll see. What do we have now? We have buttons that work. We have runes that we need more projection runes, to be honest. Because we can't finish our testing unless we have different kinds of outputs as well. And after that, we'll see when we get there. Let me do... more projection runes. We're gonna have faster and slower bolts. We'll do bolt variations and beam and then AoE maybe. And beam and AoE, so then we'll have all types, and then we do both variations. Both variations are easy enough. We just change the speed value, size. Size is something we could look into at some point. No, size is completely unimportant now, because that'll have more to do with the animation, and of course, yeah, the amount of size it'll hit. Yeah, we can make that work. But what if we then... Turns out all that shit is easy. What else? Yeah, the menu shit it's incredibly unimportant. We could have the click and drag stuff with the menu, but again, that was unimportant. We needed something that just kind of works. Keyword kinda. Oh. Menu appear and disappear. Combined with make pausing a thing. Because currently when the menu is out there, we click the buttons, the mouse is also reacting to us clicking. And I can't be bothered to try to make a menu we can open while the game is running. It's completely doable because our mouse can detect if it's inside a GUI element, essentially. And it is those that we are using to build the menu. So the mouse detects, oh, we are in menu, so it changes like mouse state. Mouse state. And as such, it would do the thing. Yeah, changes like we can have like in menu, so attacks don't happen kind of thing. It'll be easier if we just do that when the game is paused, then you can do menu stuff. When the game is not paused, you can't do menu stuff. Because most of the rune building will be happening between levels, so in a non-like level happening sense anyway. So yeah, that'll make more sense. Then you can pause, then you can see your like inventory. Check out your rune, maybe do like temporary upgrades to it or something with the shit you can pick up. That'll be stuff we'll check out. Now we're gonna save that one. Then we're gonna jump on in to the good old scripting. Okay, how do we do this? The bolt variations, we essentially just make them as resources, right? So we have our this projection bolt, then we can just make new ones that have different values. We can look at the room projection here. We do turn that into an exportable variable. And that one. Multiplier speed size. Yeah. Right now that is unimportant. We need other runes. And you will be right. Our base room projection is currently the bolts. Export enum var. Type. Was it like this? And the types would be bolt, beam, AoE. New. And defaults into bolt. Yeah, that's what make enums. Enum direction, and then left there down. Then we have direction array. So if we did enum type equals bolt beam AoE. That. And this would be export bar type and then we do bolt beam AoE. Okay, works for me. And then it's 0, 1, 2. Okay, because then we can just change that one and everything will work. And your basic room projection. Frankly, there's not that much we need to change here now, is there? We'll see if we can save this enum maybe somewhere else. But for now, we can just grab it from here. So the waste stick meaning that means total. And what if we then also have a look-see at close look at that attack base. Close all of those. There we go. Set animation is now here. So what do you have? You have your speed, you have your size. When initialized, take new damage in the form of elemental power, which could be a new one if nothing else is given, which it makes a puts that in damage, checks the main element. The set animation, which does that. Okay. Whoa, hey, hello there, Booyah Grandma, how you doing? Welcome in, Raiders, how you doing? That's a bold raid. Ooh, I thank you for the bold solidarity. What are you doing there? Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in, Van Islam, Dunksbren, Coolio Kid 956, Booyah Grandma, of course, himself, and I Heart Funny Boys. Well, thank you. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome on in, Raiders. Don't know who I am. I am Hannu, son of Hannu, variety streamer, and occasionally, as you can see, an extremely amateur game developer working on a new project here. Hello there, Voxave, and hey, hello there, S. Leffy. Hey, what you doing? Hello there, Hado Conan, and thank you, Iron Funny Boys, for that follow. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful day, my friend. And greetings be upon thee and that awesome stat. Well, thank you, Thindall. Glad you like it. And thank you, Booyah Grandma, for that follow. And Setzor as well. Thank you for the follow. I really do appreciate it. I hope you both have wonderful days. I hope everyone has a lovely day. Thank you, Setzor, as well, for that follow. Wait, no, that was I already thank you. Which is the alert that was late. Yeah. And what I'm working on a, as you can see, the last year or so, I've been doing almost every week a game jam that happened on HIO called the Try Jam, where you have 3 hours to make a game. So I tried to do almost every weekend a single, like, really tiny game, and I got sort of, felt like I learned a lot there, but I was coming up on the sort of limits of what I can do in 3 hours. So this year we started a new long-term project, which was a sort of Vampire Survivors, like, okay, more closer to Rotato. So it'll be, you build in between runs, and then you do the run with whatever you got built. And it is also then inspired by a crafting system for your attacks, sort of inspired by Noita, where instead of using these pre-made spells like a fireball and triple cast to make the attack happen, instead you using individual runes for being like a power source and a filter, and how is it being projected out to then design your own attack, trying to make the fireball itself. So it's more granular. Annu, Estonian? No, Finnish. Ja, suomalainen. A Finnish friend here, Finnish man. I'll take double thanks. I'm glad you like it. And Game Jam, love it. Yeah, I did those. So this is more my sort of personal game jam, if you will, for the year of trying to finally make a larger project to a playable state within the year. The if-else ladder. Check out the match GD script. Yeah, match. That's very true, Voxel. That's how I was like planning to do it at some point. We're currently just building a sort of rudimentary something that could kind of work, and then we'll make it pretty and sensible later on. Because right now I just wanted to see, can I get my ideas to kind of work rather than spending too much time building structures that will be replaced eventually anyway. So, Suomi, no niin, terve, something like that. Pretty close, Harkainen, yes, terve. Don't be Finnish, we just got here. Nice one. Hannu's programming the GTA 6 killer. Hey there, puppy, hope you're doing well. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, and apparently my bot didn't react, so I'll have to look into that one as well. Oh, it turned itself off for some reason. That would explain it. Love it when it does that. Why are you not on? Damn new streamer boss. Nice. There you go. And you can then hang on in the background. Because he was supposed to give you an auto shout out, which does remind me now I need to do the thing. So let's do these. And there we go. Gotta walk the dog now, but I have a great stream. But thank you. And I know the feeling. That is usually what I do when I end when my stream finally ends, is when I have to go and walk the dogs. And I hope you have a lovely walk and give the doggos some pets and scratches from me as well. No stress, bud. Nah. Well, it's annoying. But it's a good thing we got it noticed. Ooh, lovely. I need to also add dog emotes. It's been on the to-do list for the past year. I do have cute pictures of them, but I just haven't got around to it yet. But, so what the heck was I doing? Oh yeah, I was trying to figure out how do we attack, because so far, okay, I can show you what kind of nonsense I made so far. As I said, I'm just trying to build things that'll kind of work so we can test the concepts, and I did spend a little bit of time making a little polygon dude. So we have the character, so the default tools don't do anything, but we have the bolt, so it still kind of works, but it's a default value, and I just also added so we can see the cooldown, which for some reason still exists, even though there shouldn't be anything. But I guess a timer's default value being 1. Then we add a filter, so the numbers haven't changed, nothing really changed, but because it also needs a power source. Because right now it's filtering nothing. So there we go. So now we change this elemental filter of the rune, then we get different colored attacks. Because we pre-made assets for these just to have a sort of visual. And here I'm just getting a sort of visual of how the numbers are in fact changing. And if we increase it, then the cooldown gets longer. Because the idea is we have there's an efficiency level to our filters. There is waste being produced as we try to make our attack, and the waste heat essentially, or waste magic in this case, determines the eventual cooldown. Now, of course, then in the future there'll be proper runic circles with proper art and everything, and then different kinds of circles allow for more complex structures and might have an inbuilt features which allow them to get rid of waste more efficiently and so on. So it is a sort of you do hunting, you gather your resources, and then you try to build a bigger keep on improving on the build of yours. And instead of what I first thought, you'll have your own little wizard character running around, I realized that we need to have something that narratively explains why you can keep playing even if you fail a run or end up dying. And that is, well, you're actually building these magical mechs and you're sending them across the multiverse into differently elemental planes and things to, well, harvest the locals for resources pretty much. And as you then do, if the run fails, well, you lose all the resources on the mech. And if you succeed, then they come back and you get the new resources, and you might have to do repairs. So there is a sort of gain and loss to resources, and as you gain power, gain more access to better runes, can make better runic circles, then you can tackle more difficult areas. I'm hoping for then have procedurally generated maps, and also then monster types that would then adjust themselves to the map, and especially the area of the map they're spawned into. So we're sort of leaning heavily into the elements. Currently we're using the classical Western 4 because it's easy enough at this point. The idea is then sort of modularly keep that information somewhere else so that we can then add to it. Because I'm hoping to then have a rather complex elemental system and with complex interactions, but that's a later problem. Right now we got to make a machine that kind of runs the way we want to. So we got in here in a couple of weeks. Well, I got the visual actual game dude running around shooting bolts. That was day 1 because that's kind of the games I've been making for the past year. And then it's been trying to figure out how do you use resources? How do we build data structures? How should we even store whatever information? And so far I've been rebuilding some things 3 times. Bum bum bum. Good morning, Ugla. Nice seeing you around. Well, that's the idea, and this is an extremely amateur game developer taking on a long-term project, and this one I was doing it all on stream so that I will be having that extra social pressure to actually finish it. The goal is to eventually make a game we can sell. If I can make a $2 game, man, I would be so happy. Because then, if I make a game and I can charge money for it, and someone pays for it, then I can actually call myself a professional game developer. Because that's the difference between an amateur and a professional, because you do it for your profession. Ergo, are you getting paid? I've always been amateur, though, in the sense that I just like doing this stuff. And I like learning, and I like building machines that kind of work. And I like playing games where you can do similar things. One of the things that is currently have been a lot in my mind is, I've been playing a lot of Stationeers. It has coding in it. It is wonderful. And today we'll be then returning to another game I've been recently getting back into, which would be then Dwarf Fortress. But first, a few hours of game dev. So, my current goals for today, I have my little wonderful multiple layers of ideation and keeping goals for today. More projecting ruins, because we have those bolts in existence. We want one is more variations, but I realized that we'll put a line there, because that's a maybe, because we have a resource and a file for making the bolts, and we can just add more details there to like change their speed and sizes, so on. So that's fine, because the projection is just the final shape, not like the element. The element comes from the filters. We have set 4 of those, and we should be able to make them with different kinds of efficiencies and inefficiency levels. So we can already make multiples of those. Power sources will be an interesting one, because currently they just output a sort of like, I wanted the beginning power source to be an inefficient but sort of universal power source, where it like absorbs ambient magic in a pretty even collection of magic levels. Of course, if you use that then in a plane in an area with a high concentration of, say, fire magic, then the fire would be overrepresented, so it would be affected by environment eventually. I also would then want power sources where you would then instead have to insert ammunition, which would be then, magical crystals from somewhere, but they would already come with a predetermined predisposition for a certain element, like fire magic crystals. So you need those to make sure that your fire magic circle runs as efficiently as possible, and that kind of stuff. So, engineering, build, making, designing kind of game with roguelite elements, but roguelite sort of like combat loop. It's sort of like 2 games. One game is the combat. One game is the building your magic mech, because eventually would then want more elements to be involved, like what kind of materials are used in constructing the circle itself, because that could then affect its ability to deal with the waste magic, the waste heat, which affects cooldown or maybe other negative things in the future. There we go. So we want a beam and an AoE effect here. So what I did was, first we looked into my rune projection class base. I just added a enum here for just types. And this is my current ugly but efficient way of just making stuff happen. And this is why, I built small things at a time, and then I realized something I built before wasn't working that well. That's why I'm not too worried at this moment in building everything the most efficient way, because if I get stuck in the minutia of efficiency, well, the ADHD kicks in and I'll be stuck in the minutia of efficiency, and then I might write with some very complex stuff that will eventually be thrown out anyway. Okay, so we have the type, and essentially we also have the speed and a damage multiplier coming from this projection. And we actually do want to add that into the attack base here, which goes into the actual spell state, which is then handled with multiple runes effect and eventually determines what is the final form of the attack. Well, this rune, I don't think I actually need to make too many changes here, because what this is currently doing is just determining the final sort of elemental makeup of the power that goes into the attack itself and what is left over as waste. We really want to just make sure that it writes more stuff into the base of the attack shape here. So here we have a speed, size, and we'll add here then the damage multiplier. My first line was C, so I'm very easily, I like them typing things, making things they're like cast correctly. It's funny how the first tools you use to learn a new craft or skill really do affect a lot how you approach everything in that in that skill from that day on. Now, in it here, we just getting in the elemental power here, and in case we get nothing, we make a new one so that the same logic will just create a empty attack essentially. So I could, define a large amount of inputs here. But if we look at the inputs here, no. What we'll do is add a function here, because also good advice I got early on in my career, or in my learning path for coding, was from a friend who works in testing. Has a long career there on like an engineering side as well, industrial engineering. And he said, when you make functions, it's a very good idea to try to make sure that every function does only one thing. And I found that to be very true. Even though we'd have these big chunky ones, eventually we'll have to then cut all those down into even smaller bits. But every now and then, when I can, I like to make new functions rather than add functionality into an existing one. So for this one would be then define attack, set attack yeah, there we go. Set attack parameters. Set underscore attack underscore parameters. Output is void. And in case someone is noticing or caring, the font is, oh my, immediately forgot about it. Fire code, which is the one that allows for the concatenation of two characters that follow each other. You'll then concatenate them both into like visually one. So it is your hyphen and your greater than. No space in between. It just visually turns them immediately into an arrow. You can even make long arrows, which is neat. You go do, and then bonk, big arrow. Kind of weird arrows. And you plus minus and divide equals and so on. Combine very neatly. It does not equals. I very much like this font. Now, so for set attack parameters, well, we know that we're mucking about will be the spell state attack, and we know it is an attack base. So we'll then do sets underscore speed, whoop, attack speed. Then we need to set its type, and I think we have a damage and size. So speed, size, we have speed, we have size, we have damage multiplier. So dmg underscore mult and set type. We'll specify that one to be attack type, because and again, my first language was C, so I gotta say, like, I'm realizing GD script is now the first language where I have the most my deepest foray into object-oriented coding and that kind of stuff. So it's been a fun ride. And the attack base. We do the set speed, new underscore speed, And we do speed equals new speed. I take the value of new speed. We do a funcs. New size, float, and the void. And we do size, takes the value, new size. Hannu son of Hannu, playing Brain Hurt Simulator. Hey there, Lord Noctum. Oh, it's not even a simulator, man. It's real. Horrifying, but true. How you doing there, Lord Noctum? Hope you're having a good time. Set DM. You know what? I forgot. We can just do beep boop. There we go. And we do new underscore damage bullet multiplier float. Void. There you go. That's a type. None of that. New underscore type. There you go. We're using an integer here because we define them as enums over on the other side. Which one I'm thinking. Should the attack manager be the one to have them? But attack manager. So I've been wondering, like, where do I save all my, so essentially header files. Where do I put my header files? How do I save them? I put a make a global, where I can then define all appropriate enums, and I'd rather then have also those then separated. So we're getting to the point where I'm realizing, yeah. So if we're just handling the enums for types and so on, because I don't like using strings because I misspell things easily, and it is very annoying trying to debug a problem where the problem was me all along. Because if you use enums, it's less likely to get quite as fucked. Plus, if they're all centralized in single point, I can make changes in that one list and it'll just affect everything. So if I add a new global, which could be rune handler, I think, because it doesn't manage the runes, it just handles. We'll have it separate there, because managers I'm doing here, because these are then handling things which will actually be dealing with things that happen in the game. Whereas if I make a global for the wait. Well, that's a class name, right? Does that mean? I think it does. Because that's extends rune base. Extends resource. Put you there. You still work. You will. Ah, right. Spell underscore state of type dictionary. We'll probably have to make the spell state one class as well, just so we can streamline some of this, so we don't have to like declare the same dictionary happening in multiple places. Oh wait, but we're getting that one as input here though. But still, I'm repeating myself too much. I'm not a fan of that one. One of those things. So now this is in Runebase, because Runebase seems like a sensible place to have all the enums and values that have to do with purely runes. The element would then have its own like element base or element handler at some point. Right now we just have the element power class, which is, it works, but I don't even know why, but somehow it feels like, I don't know, man. I need to redo that somehow. Also, it's the wrong fucking place, but you know, we'll figure that one out when we get there. Right now, like I said, get built something ugly, something janky, it's something that kind of works, because then we at least get proof of concept, and this shit kind of works, and then we can work from there. And because this means we can then go to the attack base, and we make you into, isn't it, runebase dot type. Excellent. Wait, what? Why do I feel silly? There's so many things here that make your life easier that I'm not even aware of. Unknown unknowns. Those are my usual pitfalls. If anyone has any advice, like the wonderful advice about using the match case, which we can have a look-see here. Feel free to share. It's absolutely fine. So it does a simple expression match, also called the glob or globbing, where multiplication matches a 0. Okay, a pointer matches 0 or more arbitrary characters, and question mark matches any single character except a period. An empty string or empty expression always evaluates to false. Wonderful. And a Boolean insensitive expression where, okay, isn't it called, wasn't it in like C or something called a switch statement? What I was imagining it would be. Let's have a quick look see here. Well, this is just so I can have some strings for the animation name. That's why we have the if-else tree here. Okay, yeah, but for this one, I was actually thinking that I would use a concatenation method to build the string name. So, because we can get the element from the fire itself, and also based on its type, it'll say, is it a bolt, what is it? And that way we can determine the animation name by just having these two words. And we concatenate them into a single string, and then we can just have play animation name. And animation name is the one where the script has written the appropriate animation name. So standardizing your naming systems, making wonderful. Currently, because we're using just something to experiment with, and I only have these 4 animations at the ready, so we're going with this. And I'm gonna look into that one. I'm a little weird. Confused here though. String dot match. Is that the one we're looking at? Expression string. I can see this, so it's just an extension of an if. So if animation name dot match, and then we have some of the target, and then we can use with a sort of What was it called now? God dang it, I forgot. I keep on forgetting the names of things. It's the name of things. Where you determine, what can a string be built out of using symbols. Oh well, we'll get there. But yeah, I'm very much enjoying Godot. Wonderful engine and wonderfully lightweight. I just run it here, stream, do all kinds of shit. Just runs. Freaking wonderful. And I'm currently building this game in the most, should we say, backward form, so that we can essentially make a browser game to begin with. And eventually, I also need to upgrade my freaking Godot, an older version, but it checks out. I'm gonna finish my broth, so I'm gonna start drinking my coffee. It's not a broth, it's brew. Oh well. Lemon juice, hot water, propolis, and echinacea extracts. It is the flu season after all, and I live in Northern Europe. Gotta take care of that throat. Alright, so we now have a way of setting these values. Now our default values are now 0. These are exportable, which means we gotta remove these actually. Okay, because we can do exports that limit the possible inputs. Was there a way to give us a so without using flags and things, just making sure hey, make sure the input remains between 0 and 1. I mean, I know we can use put in a freaking set function where it would just check. For property hint placeholder, so export underscore placeholder. Alright, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Unimportant currently. Because the problem has usually been, because I made some code when I thought so these would remain the default values, then you make the actual resource, it would change these when I change them there. But the problem was these seem to then overwrite whatever was put in there. So we're gonna just do this. Speed, type, size. There's a parsing error somewhere. Oh, there we go. I fixed that one. I've thought about using a real engine like Unity and turn this into a labor of love / profit. I mean, Godot is a real engine. For example, Brotato, rather famous game. It's a Godot game. It's still a real engine. It still works. And yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to make money out of this one eventually at some point. And also because this is a sort of halfway into the whole mistake of trying to make your dream game. It's more this is my sort of it's a mechanic that's been stuck in my head, and I keep on trying to figure out how do I make this work. And in what kind of game would it be fun? And I have many ways of using this system if I get it to work. So it's also a sort of deep personal test on is this a good idea, or do I have just a silly idea spinning in my head? And I've said it before. If I do then use one of the bigger engines, I mean, first of all, I like Godot, and we can see if we can make it work in Godot. If not, or should we ever want to do something more hardcore, I would go for Unreal, because I don't trust Unity's management pretty much. The thing is, if I wanted to work in the industry, then I'd probably do it in Unity for the practice's sake. I would love to kind of work in the industry, but I also want to make my own things. So I'm going to take that different path. And also, I'm slightly more comfortable with C++ than C#. So that also pushes me towards Unreal. Though at some point, I would also then love to just make my own engines and my own games, build things in C, and use actual proper low-level coding to make some silly things. We'll see if I can remake an old project of mine, which is funny. It's a very small program, but I essentially made a sort of first-person maze-solving game. It could have been, you know, add enemies and a shooting system is doable, but it ran fully in the terminal. There was no like window screen open. It uses cursors and it just ran in the terminal, and I was really proud of that. And it had like 3D, super simplistic sort of raycasting working there. That was fun because you can in cursors, you can then have your walls made of pipes essentially, and then depending on how far the distance from the player, I changed the color. It was super simple, little janky, but fun to do. I'm confused again. Right, we wanted to make sure that these then have a default value, so that if you're sending in something that is empty, will you default this into 0? It's one of those things, and then when you're using actual engine, then sometimes I'm not sure how it determines certain situations. But the point is, because we set these values now through export, oh, we've gotten rid of you. And attack sprite is currently just, it'll be hanging out there for now because, yeah, like the animations are very super simplistic. And we have nothing for the beam just yet. I'll probably put in just like a colored freaking square, which then the size determines its length, because I'm not entirely certain to how it will do that yet. We might be changing the attack size into a vector 2 so that we can have two inputs. So that we can have length and width. Actually, now that I said that out loud, that is actually, yeah, it makes way more sense. So attack size is a vector 2. And then we look at the attack manager who's getting the shit in here, and we look at attack base, sorry. Attack manager is a global who just then turns all this bullshit into an actual scene. So we look at the size, float, we do a vector 2. We look at our size here, we change this one as well to a vector 2. And you start your basic default value will currently be a vector.1. So 1 in both directions, so 1 to 1, whatever size we have, we multiply it with the size by 1 itself, so nothing happens. This is our current default speed, which everything has been moving by. So now, the rune does the thing. Changes these values, because mostly this is storing this information, the attack base, because this is what it does currently. Then eventually, perhaps then, depending on this information, does a lot of will add more complexity. But this is the base class for just any attack and how it'll work. So now the next step from here would be the attack manager, which takes an attack transform, which is where is the attack and which way is it facing, and the attack details in the attack base. Now, we're gonna have to look, before I forget, open up the projection bolt for the test. So your damage multiplier is 1, your attack speed is, we'll change it to 100, so it'll be different. Your attack size is in fact bolts, and your size will be a 1 by 1. There you go. So these being enums makes this one nice and easy. much harder for me to fuck up. And then I get your attack base. New attack, we instantiate that one. New attack, like assign attack details, attack details, attack details, you assign base. A new attack is in the actual attack scene. And its script, which currently is a very simple animation with, I've got these pre-made assets with a inbuilt animator doing these, a lifetime time, which is a timer for 3 seconds. When you're done, delete yourself. And if you hit something, delete yourself. Doesn't actually carry any damage as is, which is something we could now have a look at as well. Because we can add more complex runes, we cannot then have to have ways to actually test things. Are things actually happening? So we have underscore size equals attack deets, size attack deet man. Here we also change size to vector 2 equals vector 2 dot 1. We have the attack transform, we are getting that one. Ooh, what did we call it? We have magic bolt being the default. Oh, boring magic bolt. I see that's even better. Because the rune default, if we don't have a filter, it will shoot default into magic bolts. But if we then in here default this one to the boring magic bolt, which was the original fire, but then I thought the red one is a bit more visually clear. Now we'll have different default values given in different places. So if we see one and not the other, well, we'll know something's up. Okay. Gun speed is float to 400. Ready, self.transform attack transform scale local vector 1 times size. Oh, even better. We can get rid of that one now. We can just give size as is, making perfect. Because we're scaling the local transfer to the animation to fit the thing. And the self transform, so it should change both the shape and the animation, hopefully. It does. We have tested this. Now, this feels mathematically inefficient doing it this way, but it works. I'm assuming like in the future there might be like tons of like just horde small enemies and you're fighting against them. So there'll be a large amount of attacks, and that's why we want to then keep that in mind as we progress to make sure we're not doing unnecessary math. Because that's sort of what I'm hoping to do. You have big explosions, just hordes of enemies, just blasting them down. Sometimes large enemies, and you have to like plan for what might happen. Also, back to the question of the engine of choice. Especially when learning, I would argue that it doesn't really matter. It's only when you get better at this development, building games, that the choice of engine matters more, because then you have to learn about certain intricacies in certain engines. In the beginning, if you want to make games, just make games. Use whatever engine you can, pretty much. I like Godot. It has so much inbuilt. Its first player experience is very good. The documentation is good. There's lots of good guides out there, very beginner friendly, because it helps you understand the logic of building games. Because that will never change. Doesn't matter which engine you're using. Games and computers have a certain overarching logic for how things interact with each other, talk with each other. So when you want to learn, use whichever one you want to. If you want to learn Unity, you start with that one. If you want to learn Unreal, start with that one. If you might be potentially restricted by your hardware, Godot is a good way to go. Unreal was a wonderful thing, but it made my machine chug, and that was just me trying to run it. The editor itself is just heavy, and I don't need that power. I'm making simple pixel art games, essentially, is sort of what I'm going for here. Like my current test is straight top down, but I'm hoping for a more isometric view, nicer animations and all that. The current is everything just placeholders. So I don't need all that horsepower. Godot is more than good enough for this. But if I ever want to have super fantastic, like, effects, nice graph, like light, inbuilt, like efficient math for all the lighting and so on, like in was Octopath Traveler is like a pixel art game done in, I think that was actually Unity rather than Unreal, but still has then the 3D, the engine's like really good 3D like lighting effects, which then gives a really cool contrast with the 2D elements in the game. So that kind of stuff, heckin' amazing. But every engine is just a tool, and it's up to you to find what is the best tool for your project. I'm dancing now. I'm getting distracted. Why am I here? What am I doing? And whose paths are these? Oh, perfect. That's you can hide my shame. So we did the boring magic bolt. We have the assigned attack details. There we go. ATK deets. I'm gonna rename that properly. Details. So we have speed, size. For ATK mult, which is a float. I'll put that one into 0. So that because everything else is trying to turn it into 1, and we'll see, does it change? Now, we will also then want to check, we have speed, we have size, we just speed, size, damage multiplier type. Variable underscore ATK underscore type, cast it, rune base dot type. And here we go, underscore ATK mult has the value of ATK underscore details dot damage multiplier. I would change that from ATK mult to DMG mult, and this one would be then ATK type has the value of ATK details dot surely you're just type. You might be. Attack type. Attack type. And this is specifically the damage multiplier. The attack is the entire thing. So I want this to be somehow affecting the elemental power. We can use the attack script here to, allow all that to happen, I think. We're dealing the attack orientation in a nice and simple way. It's just going to the right. That's all it does. In its own local space, in this global space, the orientation is determined by the attack transform that we got here. That needs times speed, sometimes delta. No one's using you. Heckin' fantastic. Get rid of that bullshit. feel like I might have broken shit by now, so let's load it in and see what breaks. Add a power on. We see the size now. Speed is at 200. Earth. Speed hasn't changed actually. Aha. We have issues. Check revolts. Let's check under attack. No. Player manager. Unique circle. Final attack. Earth bolt. Melee targets. Attack type. Speed 200. Neat. Okay, so now we look at the circle base. So let's look here. What happens? Very first, we go through our... Oh, right. I need to add up logic here for what if there's nothing in here. Right now, we're creating these defaults. Quote-unquote default runes. Then we're immediately replacing one as well. Ah, that's because the rune projection's default is your basic bolt. Right. So, power source filtration is working just fine, so the projection must be the one that is the issue. So why are you not changing the value the way you should? Check circle, new projection. I'm not sure why we're not doing that one here, but we'll figure that one out when we get there. Right now, you need to try to stay focused. As you might have noticed, I'm not the most focused person. So why is that changing or not changing? So the rune projection, look here. That would explain it. We built this entire new fancy new function, did all this stuff, and then we never called it. Yeah, we might get the reference to the entire dictionary. We're just doing that one. We could have just... You know what? It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. And then we try again. See, how does it break this time? So it's empty. Oh, they're nice and slow. Speed says still 200, but so as soon as we did this, these changed. So the runes and the attacks are changing as they should. But why do you default to the 200, and where does that number come from actually? So your attack base, speed, defaults here to 200. What if I default you to 10? Will your default nonsense still try to make it at 10, or no, it just says 10, then we give you a power. That means you actually now check the circle properly. So well, we kind of achieved one goal already, which was bolt variation. We'll say that yes, because now we can actually make variations like properly out of this, because now we can change the speed, size. Let's change the size. Check the size though. I'm not being a bit earlier, so we go again to this your projection bolt, and we change you to 2, but not you. Press F6. Yep. That actually looks kind of funny. So, size changing works just fine. Hey, getting wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Damage though. That was another thing we needed to be able to test. But maybe we'll look at that another time, because one of the goals for today was, in fact, more projection runes. So what if we then look at how do we make a beam? Because for the beam we needed the width and well, length and girth. Are we making a nice thin laser beam or a nice chunky chode of death? So we can set the type. Yeah, you can just call type, because you're coming from rune base. You know what you're talking about. Heck yeah. So we set that. And we create the resource. So what if type has now changed? What if type is beam? This all remains the same. None of that changes. This remains the same. So then we look at attack base. Here's where we set the animation. Here is where we need to know our type. Where if type bolt, go here. If type beam, do something else. Animation is not supposed to be that important yet. That's why I'm so happily using all these pre-made things. So what we can do is just make all you just magic beam. Because then we have bolt, we have beam. First, what you call it, just magic, so we can have that as the default for anything before we try to add different elemental constructs to it. I think we have then some of these pre-made assets. And what the fuck is this, man? So we have a green one. We're using the blue one, using the purple and the red, and the white and the yellow. Let's have a quick look see at what we got. This could be a good way to test, because I'm thinking, what if we just use one of these as the beam animation as well, and we just stretched it out? I think that could work. Could even look kind of fun. And if the white one works, I wonder if we can add a modulation effect to it, and then you can have that, because that would be a good way to test that system as well. Depending on the elemental balance of the attack, we could then modulate between what kind of color mixture we're getting, because that is also something we have in the final form here. Is that when you design your own attack, its elemental consistency might be imperfect, if you will, and that would lead to the color being either a little bit more dull or a bit more brighter, or if you have multiple elements somehow mixing, then you have them changing the color and so on. Because I want it to be as sort of procedurally generating the attack as possible in the end, and as possible with my skills, limited as they are. Now, feeling, I think 5-4 wins. There we go. Why did I do that? There we go. Bloop, bloop. And our vertical goes to 1. You go to 8. We choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blam, blam. We add those 8 frames. Now, insert empty before. Let's go to 2D so we can see what this bugger looks like. And I think for a sort of beam effect, we want it to be kind of wild. All the way at freaking 60 FPS. Yeah, See? That looks nice and wild. Okay. Now the thing is, you are rotated. So that changes in your transform, right? Your canvas item, so we have the visibility, which has the modulation. You can do self-modulate to make sure it's just this one, so it's like, oh, it's more icy. Icy beams. Yellow beams. Purples, magics. So that could work. Then we'll have to look at the good old animated sprite here, and we'll look at... Anime 3D part of play animation. Animation is... Well, it's set inside here, wasn't it? Yeah, there we go. Now, we do... If attack type equals... Now, because it's an enum, we can do a 0, but we won't, because that's silly. Base dot type dot bolt. Yeah. Wait, no, we're doing too many things in one function. Ah, silly goose. So we then do set underscore bolt underscore animation function, followed by us copying that bonk. Wait. Wow. Lord, I'm saying I want a voxel building game where you spawn on an island and build a boat from the wind, and sail, then take up to steam, then diesel, then nuclear. Even better if the open ocean is real players and strong AI enemy. So essentially, what you want to do is make a mod for Hightail, because, or a vintage story, but it's not really built for that kind of gameplay. That is what I think is the coolest thing about Hightail. It isn't just, the game is neat. I mean, I do own also, I got the whole support package. I never played it yet. I haven't installed it or downloaded it. But seeing stuff like Pirate Software, who is porting his block game into it, and he's exploring and sort of realizing what all you can do with this engine, it's insane. It'll be similar to From the Depth, but better graphics. Yeah. The Depths, I don't know if I've heard of that one. I mean, the name seems familiar, but I can't visualize it. But yeah, Hightail is something also that seems very cool and interesting and would be fun to mod. Because I realized, wait, you can straight up just make guns in the game, just mod them in, make a mod, and then you can change if you can put in guns, you can put other details. You might be able to change how the enemies are animated, what kind of assets are being used, and suddenly you realize you could probably build 7 Days to Die in Hightail. You can make your Hightail-based zombie survivor, because 7 Days to Die is secretly a block game, isn't it? Definitely play From the Depths. You could make some very cool stuff. There's too many games to play. I can only promise to try. Right. Needs one of those. So if attack type is rune-based type bolt, set bolt animation, and then we do an elif. Same shit. Theme. beam animation. And I was thinking, oh, then I'll have to make sure that the orientation is correct here. But you know what? I don't, because the default orientation is correct. It's only if we do a beam, so we do a set underscore, a function set beam animation. Oh, with no outputs. This is doing shit. And what is setting the beam animation? We'll have to look at... Do we have a... We don't. Can't drop node because script tag base class does not inherit a node. Well, that means animation name here should be Magic Beam, and we do that change somewhere else. I put the suggesting questions on your Discord. Oh, thank you, Lord Noctum. I need to add more things to the Discord, I know. And one of them would be, I guess, game suggestions, requests, that kind of stuff. Because I had a fun time trying to have a vote a couple of times for, hey, what are we playing today? After the game dev. But I do also realize there's a lot of people who come here to just hang out and, chill out. Lurk, if you will. So in that way, having then more of the voting, maybe having it out on the Discord, so it's asynchronous, so we can then determine what is what are the main games currently, could probably help. Yeah, there's Amir. Hope you're doing well. Now, attack here then does have the attack base here in attack details. So we could here have a variable for so self transform is here, so it is in the attack transform. But it is not that's not the one we want. That's not what we want to change. We want the animated sprite 2D, so we'll do... Yeah, when you have a high pop night to set up a poll. A list of all your available games you're interested in trying. Yeah, but usually when there's a high pop night here happening, we're in the middle of a game. And that's where we want to focus on, what is we're currently happening. So doing an asynchronous voting is probably the most sensible ones. And then if I just also possibly, declare in advance, hey, we're having a poll on what we're going to play this day in, at this time, so people will know. Because I was thinking we could do a schedule where we have 1 or 2 days in the week where we have, audience chooses games. And we can have then at the Discord asynchronous voting, which chooses essentially what are the top 5 of what we might be playing, and then during the day, then we have a poll for which one of those are we then actually playing. Like one that I know people have a couple of people have been asking about was Void Stranger. I do own it. It is a fun one. It's a very light game. Puzzle solving. Another example of fantastic Finnish games, and it is it's an interesting one. And I really wouldn't mind playing that on stream as well. It's just puzzle solving, moving boxes around, but it then has a surprising depth of story to it. Yeah, forums are better because more people vote, but it would also make those temp viewers feel like they have a say in your own content. Well, exactly, Lord Nocturne. That's what I was thinking. It would be in 2 parts. So we'll have the asynchronous voting for choosing what will eventually be the list for the actual poll happening, kind of thing. Plus, you're making a very good point there in general that I need to add more chat interaction. I know, I'm sorry. I've been meaning to for ages. I keep on getting caught up in other projects like this one. What I really should do is, I have another game idea, which is for a on-stream game with chat can then interact with voting for what'll happen. I'm trying to like figure out this way of making it like an auto battler, which then the audience can gamble on, have a point system similar to, say, Casual Elephant. And then that means, of course, then I also need to come up with stuff that can be done with those points, which means I need to also then work on my bot in general, add more funny stuff. You know, what kind of bullshit stream is this? There's not even a fart machine. Oh my god. Absolute rubbish. Janky ass shit stream. You shouldn't be here. Sorry. There we go. We do variable and we do animation orientation. We make that one also, try to declare that one private so no one fucks with this number. So animation underscore orientation. I do believe it is a float and it defaults to minus 90.0. And we can then grab that from here. So we do to attack base, and you also then have here with attack type, we'll have a variable for attack animation orientation of type float. We shave. You've seen Stankran. He lets people shoot ping pong balls at his face for bits. Jesus. Yeah. I don't think I'd go for that. Just saying. But yeah, a lot of people do a lot of like crazy interactions. That is very true. And I know there's someone as well who has like, he had a winch attached to like his belt. And the chat could, you know, use bits to make the winch just lift him off his chair, yank him away, or something like that. And it just sounds funny. And he picks them all up off the floor and reloads the machine. Ooh, yeah. There's some wild people out there. Now, I'd rather make it less physical. Just saying. Like, everyone has their own style. Nothing wrong with that. I am maybe just a little silly. Equals 90.0. So this one should now change from minus 90 to 90. And we can have here attack animation orientation equals negative 90.0. So this way these set, because if we're going in the bolt, well, we know that the bolt will be facing that it is currently. If it's going to be a beam, I want you to be facing the opposite way. Honestly, with a servo controlled by the stream, you could literally design anything. Oh, absolutely, yeah, you could do all kinds of crazy shit. I mean, I have had some ideas which had more like to do with having like a little robot do shit, which the animation with the chat could control. The problem is, all of that requires time and money I do not have, so. And skills. That's why I'm thinking like first we just make, you know, good old fashioned fart bot, because that would be enough to force me to then actually get into the horrifying world of JavaScript and learning more web dev stuff, because then I need to build, you know, servers and understand how the servers talk to each other. Like I've done a little bit of that, but that's like schoolwork level stuff. Then I'll have to build my own that actually works, and then figure out how to make that thing talk to the pins in the robots, which is doable. Just takes time. Could be a fun one to do though. I don't know, I'll give you some wisdom. All things on this earth are created by people. You, sir, are people. That's very true. Thank you. I am people. I'm a real boy. That's what Mama said. She said I was special. But also, Lord Noctem, yeah, you might have noticed, and as we're doing here now, I do like making things. I like creating things. So more chat interaction is happening. It's just I get overwhelmed by my own ideas and plans, and then I just have trouble getting shit done. And that is why I'm now trying to dedicate the beginning of every stream to make sure I at least get something done on this project. And so far, we're making a large amount of progress. Well, next week we might be doing a little bit of an experiment on that, where we don't do it during the weekdays, but then the weekend stream will be pure 8 to 10 hours of game dev. We'll see how that goes. Because I have noticed this whole thing is also affecting some of the viewership numbers. Some people do enjoy this, but not everyone. And in the end, I do need to worry about those a little bit. But that is the benefit of being essentially self-employed when you're a streamer. I don't have to okay my plans to experiment with anyone else. I just do it. Now, we are now setting the attack animation orientation here and here. And we are setting the speeds here, which means... yeah, when we finally make a beam rune, we'll see how that shit works out. And we do a... attack. Ah, right, that's the one. We have set speed, size, multiplier type. Set beam animation. Then this thing is given to attack, where assign attack details animation is that one, speed, attack, okay. And then we do animation orientation is ETK details dot you know, I'm getting annoyed that I made that one too long. Of course, it's an attack animation. So just say an animation orientation. We go back to attack base class. We replace. Bind. And replace all. Thank you very much. So now the animation name, animation orientation is determined here. Then we look in the attack and we are determining that there. In fact, so where do we determine this one? Well, all of that now, all these numbers get determined before we enter the scene. So after we get in here, attack transfer scaled local underscore sized, followed by animate sprite 2D dot rotation has the value underscore animation orientation. And this might have broken shit already, so let's get to testing. Yeah. Interesting. Why are you facing... oh, right. I forgot. I'm moving the number in 90, so they go in degrees is what I want. Because what it did there for a little while was do the same thing, but in radians. We're looking at 90s and minus 90s, so we're just rotation degrees, inbuilt math, you do it, it'll work. Now, we need to make a beam. So in resources, create new resource. We do the rune projection resource. We call you test underscore projection underscore beam. Damage multiplier is going to be 1. Attack speed is 0. Type is beam. Size is I don't know, 3 times 1. Rune name. Beam. Save. It exists. Wonderful. Then we... where the frack did we save those? Attack manager? No. Circle base? I think one global had these. You're the one. No. There we go. Now beam also exists. Test projection and beam. Get a filter, get power, set new. Now it should be in the list. If everything works, it should be just immediately clickable. We just need to look at the circle base, and here we have change this one. And we'll save that one as well. And shit kind of works. Give it some power. We give it fire. Speed 100. Oh, right. Silly me. There we go. And look at the crafting menu. 2D. We add to you an item list F2 you into projection list. Node signal for item activated. Connect. Copy. Paste. Set new projection. Circle base. Ooh, player manager, that's the problem here. We do set new projection. Projection index of type integer. And we save that one. Okay, so matching mostly works. Then we'll look at the crafting menu because we just added a new thing here. Click visual attack stats. Right, I can just do this one. We have the filter list. I don't need these, do I? We'll see. So then we do the on ready with the power list, the projection list. Try this one. Player manager dot projection rune list. Now we make this one the projection list. F16 is this one alone. Right. Of course. Expand. Save. F16 again. Jump to level, press F6. We'll just see what happens. And there's no runes, so the timer is going, okay, cool. With no runes, timer does this. And we should have with none of these, the bolt should actually just do fuck all. But let's do add in an earth filter, nothing. Add a power source, still does nothing. Add a bolt. Now that's working. Add a beam. Hangs out for 3 seconds. It almost works, except the orientation did not turn. Now, why did the orientation not reorient? Animation, new animation. In-ready animates by 2D play animation, animates by 2D rotation degrees equals animation orientation. So the other one being -90 did work. Animation orientation is value from attack details dot animation orientation. Attack details being the attack base. Inside the attack base, we look at all set bolt animation. Then animation orientation is either -90 or +90. Hello, Keturav. Hello, how goes the Devon? Going pretty well. Pretty okay, trying to figure shit out. Good old amateur. Doing their best to figure out why is my animation thingamabob not spinning the way I want it to. I hope you're doing well, Keturav. Keturav here. So let's look at the attack. See, this is the thing. I tried to make happen. But in a spun around way. So the size worked out perfectly. Transform was supposed to look like that. So what if we save this? And we F6 in. Get an earth and a power and a bolt. See, bolts are correct. But the beams I didn't even realize the beam wasn't actually working. So, tell me, beam. The rune type name is beam, your type is beam, attack speed 0, so all these work, but not whatever happens here. So why? Rune base, here we have both beam AoE 0, 1, 2, and then we'll look at the projection one here. Here we do attack speed, attack size, damage multi, and the attack type. So it goes saved into the attack. Attack type is there, and it is a rune-based type. Now, I've doing the game there for 20 years, and you're already doing better than me, from what I can see. I'm doing okay, meeting my OS for the 9th time. That's fun. Ooh. Well, I'm a mega amateur, not in the industry. All I know is always short for like operating system. So, whatever's happening, I hope it goes well. Yeah, try to build my own game. For the past year, I've been working with. I've been doing a game jam sort of every weekend. The Try Jam, where you have 3 hours to make a game. So I've been trying to do that every weekend for the past year. Did a bunch of stuff, all on itch.io. Some of them are actually playable. Some of them might be a little fun. Wonderful learning process. And then this year, I decided to take on a long-term project. Which involves a sort of attack crafting system. So that's neat. Am I finished with the coffee? I am. How tragic. Good thing I have this giant mug of tea as well. So, why is that animation not spinning? Or actually, why was it not working out? So if we look at attack base, I can only assume the problem happens here. So the animation orientation being set to -90 is in fact happening. Set beam animation Alright, we'll do a... An attack type is inside set type. Attack type is new type. F16 into here. A 3-hour game jam every week for a year, and just a number of mutually exclusive statements. Well, that means I can make a really, like this, what we see here, most of the visual parts where there's a dude running around and some polygon, and I did that in day 1. And after that, it's been just days of like, how do I build like freaking data structures? How do I make these things talk to each other? And how does this thing even work? Because the idea is for a runic circle. The idea is sort of inspired by Noita. So Noita means potato, is the final concept in this very simplified way. There will be sort of runs, you fight against enemies, and in between runs you design your weapon. And your weapon, your attack, is then inspired by Noita, where instead of having these series of spells of leather, here's a fireball, here's a triple cast, here's this effect, which ends up what the wand does. In this one, you use individual runes, one as a power source, one as an elemental filtration system, one as projection, which determines the shape of the attack and so on. And then you build a fireball, or an ice ball, earth ball, air ball, depending on the elements. Like we're starting with the classic 4 in the Western classic 4. I'm hoping to make a sort of complex, more complex system eventually, but right now we just mostly focus on getting just the machine to run the way I want it to, so that I can then add, make things pretty and add more complexity to it. But the engine itself needs to run. So that is what we're fighting with currently. And then of course there's another interesting challenge I want to add, which is like, how do I add settings? How do I make a volume slider? How do I make rebindable keys? All these important things. But that is also why I felt like progressing from the 3-hour game jams to then doing a long-term project. It felt like the right thing to do, because the 3-hour game jams were fun. I'll probably try to do a few this year as well. But yeah, I had grown as a developer doing all of that to the point where I was meeting my limitations. Like I need some more time to actually sit down and figure out these other questions. Unless you're doing the smart thing and using an engine. Oh yeah, I would love to build stuff in C. C was my very first language, and it'd be fun to do stuff with that. But because I'm trying to make an actual game, so yeah, that's more like for fun hobby stuff and just tweaking around stuff and making, keeping up skills with C and so on. That'd be fun. But for this, the eventual the dream is to turn this into a game I can sell. And also to prove to myself whether this concept for the runic circle magic crafting system that has been stuck in my head for a few years, does it actually work? So we're testing both of those. Now currently we're also doing this in the, what's it called now, the compatibility mode in Godot. Plus the Godot is not the newest, in its newest state. So we're going to update Godot at some point, and depending on how the project grows, we'll have to then pretty much restart the entire thing, but we can reuse the same code, so that's fine, because currently it's been built to be playable in a browser. The eventual game would hopefully be a bit more demanding, to not just be a browser game, but our very first alpha model, essentially, where we just test everything, prove it that it works, get our logic together. That will be a browser game I can put up on itch.io. I love C. C is so simple, no fancy stuff. Syntax is clean and just want to hug it. Yeah. And I found a lot of value in starting with a low-level language, and because it has given me a perspective, and then when I advance getting to these more abstracted languages, I was just trying to remember who is handling all this, all the garbage handling and so on. I'm excited for you. Sounds like really awesome and achievable within a reasonable time. Well, thank you, Ketora. Yeah. The idea is to get it into sort of a form where I would be willing to sell it for money within a year. And the idea is to get it into an early access, not a finalized state. But so that is the high goal. The minimum goal is to get it into an itch.io playable state, sort of alpha thing, and then progress from there to then in the future continue with the idea and try to turn it into something we can actually sell. And so far, we're also trying to do it like a minimum of 2 hours every day, start of the stream, do some game dev before we do some gaming. And it's going pretty well, to be honest. And thanks to all you lovely people in the chat. Every now and then I get some really good advice. Well, thanks for that. I really do appreciate it. Now, I have this thing open. Yeah, let's show what I did here. We're just seeing cool down here. We got the runes. So it's no longer bugging out when it doesn't have any runes, which is always good. So the bolt happens. Earth is green. So now I'm going to switch to beam. So it does do the other beam stats, but the animation is not Wait, I have a breakpoint there. What in the god damn it? Attack base. You called here. Okay, what if I had the breakpoint there? Was that the problem? Why did you not? There we go. So now there's a breakpoint. Excellent. Then we do F12, I think, yeah. Yeah. I went there twice. 1, 3, 4. Animation name Firebolt. Target is currently enemy. Attack type 0. Yeah. Animation name Firebolt. Then we come here again. And a third time. Okay. This thing's calling in the init phase, so that might be an issue here. So where do we move this? To attack base. So you actually have all this information, so we don't need you here, I think. Right. So where do we call set animation? And maybe it's inside attack, where we do attack details, attack base. So this is the stuff we actually get here. Okay. And so before we do an animation from attack details, we can do atk details dot set animation. We save that one. So now it shouldn't be doing that before I call the time. Did I remove the breakpoint? I think I might have done that. So I will see again. Why is this hard? Nothing. No, yeah, you should be able to comfortably make it within a year. Okay, well, thank you, Keturab. And yeah, amateur. I'm doing my best. There's a lot of things to fuck up here. Okay, I tried to make an attack. But there's no attack to make, nothing will happen, but the breakpoint did activate and we... So that's fine. So that's okay. For now. I wanted to not try to make an attack unless it can actually make an attack. So that is something we need to look into. So air. Okay, but not only does it once, which is good. And now we do bolt. So now we can see it's firebolt. That's not true. Or is it? Wait. No, it's an air bolt. It's an air bolt. Okay, now we'll try it again. Animation name fire bolts. Right, because that's our default here. Ally target being enemies. Fine. Oh, right, because we change it here. Oh, okay. So we want to look at is in fact element here, air. Okay, cool. Attack type is 0, which is correct. Okay, then we do 1 F12. Double click on the beam. Oh, change the element to earth. And wait. It worked. Right. Right. So the problem was that, yeah, okay, so I was calling it too many times because it was happening when we initialized the entire thing, because we're using this. We're making more than one of these. We're getting the new damage as an elemental power new, we put that in damage, and from there we get the main element. So this entire thing is a bit of a gibberish. We'll just make sure I don't forget, so we do a nice little to-do. This is a little bit gibberishy. Make clear setup function. There we go. That one was. So now we're calling this set animation only when we actually make the attack scene. Now, without the breakpoints, getto means fox in Finnish. So we remember such things. Yeah, it's true. Getto is getto repolainen is in fact Finnish for fox. So now we do. So that is the unfiltered is the purple one, which is just our default gibberish, which also shouldn't be able to make. Now make some green attacks, and we switch over to the beam. And we're using that. Okay, the problem with that is the center point is still there, but because we're expanding it, it'll expand it all directions. So, but you know what? For current testing purposes, that's a-okay. Ding ding. It's true. Todella lucky. So, I think, yeah, we got air is in both. That's how it looks. So air is currently the white one. Earth is in bold form. Water blue. So earth is green. And rev is Swedish for fox. It is very true. Indeed. Fjällräven means, well, fox of the freaking... It's not meadows, it's... Highlands? I think highlands would be closer for fjäll. Or fjällräven. In case you guys know, they mostly known for their backpacks, pretty much. A brand with the logo of a fox. Surprisingly enough, with a name like that, of Highland Fox. Fjällräven. Yes, I'm not only Finnish, I'm in fact a Finn Swede. Or, you know, Suomenruotsalainen. A small historical and cultural minority in Finland. Now let's take a wild guess what animal my persona is. Is it a badger? Yeah, foxy thing. Me too, actually. Dad was Finn and Mom Swede. Ooh, cool. Yeah, similar one, except my mom's Finn Swede. So I'm not like, I don't have like close directly Swedish ancestry, but the sort of local Finn Swede population, or like glad you liked it, Gizmo. Okay, cool. Debuggers 1,520 complaints. Oh, you can't see it because I'm in front of it. So what is he complaining about? Affine inversion condition det equals 0 is true. Spell state is never used in here. Alright, if I do that, will you still be happy? I hope you will. Crafting menu, I'm gonna do that actually. I'm a filthy American. Oh, that's why. Okay, now I get the whole, kettorev. Thin and sweet, nice. Something like, brav. Interesting choice there. Like, what does that mean? Kettorev. Yeah, foxy fox. Fox twice over. So an affine invert condition det 0 true. Okay, cool. What does that mean? How far down do I need to go? Math transform 2D CPP affine invert. I'm assuming that is the beam causing that one or something. Hey, wrong one. No. Huh. Okay, so maybe it is me trying to do that attack with nothing that is causing this whole cascade of bugs. Thinking about changing the last name part to Voss instead. Spent a lot of time with the... Why Voss? I'm not saying it. I like the Get to Rev one. You just don't have the... not a lot of the internet, likes non-ASCII, non-American signs, so you don't have the umlauts for the a. So I spent a lot of time in the eastern parts of Finland, deep in the forest. Everyone was hunters and such. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're deep in the forest, because why else would you be there other than hunting? Either for, animals or mushrooms or berries. Yeah, I'm more of a coastal dude. Spend most of my time closer to the coast. I guess it is the Finn sweet blood in me. Because we are pretty much known for, just populating the coast. We are archipelago people. Voss is also fox. Just gotta find the language again. Better living on pelts, etc. Yeah, makes sense. There's a lot of wild woods here. With a lot of animals that can still produce pelts used for making a lot of things from, gloves and other things. Okay, but let's walk this backwards. Okay, let's first actually, no, we look at the circle base. So you are now creating an attack with clickety-clackety on the launch attack, right? Which means your final attack should have fuck all in it. When you begin. Reset spell state, yes. You can create a new attack base, elemental power, all that. Absolutely fine. Dutch. Neat. So there are no runes in the array. How did we do this now? Currently I'm just creating these so we have a whole bunch of shit saying like default. But what if there was nothing? So... Actually, these are fine, because then they create the attack base. So the attack base has what? What is the best way to determine should we or should we not, in fact, be creating an actual attack from all of this nonsense? I think the best way would be to do is our damage array or resource. Does it have any value in it? If there's nothing inside, don't do anything, man. That would be the best one. It's what I'm going to name my Debian fork. Or I guess Riced customized Debian Linux distribution. Ooh. Now that's some proper hardcore shit.
Hello,
Making own forks.
Hanu.
Well, hello there, old Shug. Nice seeing you around. Hope you're doing well, and hope you haven't melted to a puddle just yet. If I could, I'd send you boxes of our nice cold air. It could to cool you down. Now, let's see here. Damage is elemental power. And the attack here gets side attack details, attack base. And you have here damage elemental power. So we're gonna have to look into elemental power actually for a simple little question. Fantastic, we have one. Get total. We can use that one. So if we look into the attack itself, no, it's not even there, is it? It's inside. Where are you? Attack manager. So because this one, so to take the attack base and the transform 2D, run one simple error check. If current map equals null, print current map equals null, return false. Boom. So before you even instantiate that new attack, I just want to know a little bit of something. We do if attack details dot damage dot get underscore total is less than or equal to 0.0, return true. Because that's not an error. We want true for everything works as intended. And an attack with 0 damage is absolutely acceptable. It just won't spawn at all. And now we save and we press F6. And we'll have a look at this here old debugger. Oh, yeah. Will number grow? No, it won't, because we had an immediate problem here. Invalid access to property or key damage and the base object type of nil. Update attack stats, attack damage dictionary, attack damage get elements. Right, the crafting menu cat. Okay, so attack equals attack base, player manager runic circle get attack. And he gets nil. Damage info container is somewhere else, so we'll just if attack. Do that. Fine. You do get elements for that one. So, which means we're gonna need to have an else statement here. Else LSL. Attack elements. That's the value of yeah, this is why we need to make that element resource thing a bit better. Because I want to be able to like just create just the freaking elemental dictionary wherever I need it to be as a copy, or like from the blueprint of the original. Debian on desktop? Yeah, sure. Hope you don't have an NVIDIA GFX card. Oh no, it's not that big of a deal. Debian has good build chains. You just list a bunch of the packages you want and then build. And it's a 15-year-old laptop with integrated Intel graphics. Creepy NVIDIA drivers are the least of my worries. Oh, you're crappy. And creepy. Not too different. Yeah. Yeah, I've been like planning on eventually, because hoping to. My rig is around a decade oldish, I guess. Getting there. So I've been hoping to upgrade at some point and then have this machine pretty much just dedicated to just having a dual PC setup for streaming. Just encoding the stream, turn that into a Linux machine. It does what it needs to do, and then have a dedicated one with the whole normal OS for gaming. Who knows? Maybe we'll even turn that into a freaking Steam OS machine. Just Linux everywhere. Okay. So the problem remains. I need a copy of this one. I'm just impressed this thing can handle streaming. Not well, but it do stream. Ooh, nice one. Yeah, like my machine it works surprisingly well. I got like my GPU's a 1080 Ti, so it actually is working pretty well. But I'd like a more modern one for the whole ray tracing, and there are some limitations. But if we can just dedicate it to like maintaining stream, encoding, and the gaming happens on a separate machine, it'll be performing even better. And then once I eventually get into improving my streamer bot and adding actual, chat kind of interactions a bit more, I've been considering turning an old laptop into a Linux machine and having that be sort of like running the bot as a server kind of thing on the side. Would it become unnecessarily convoluted to do all that way? Possibly. But it also sounds like an interesting challenge and a good chance to learn new skills. But I need one of these. But we'll get one of those eventually, I guess, because what happens if we do this then? We just save. We F8 and we F6 back in. Now see, does shit explode immediately? Text speed, text strength, attack dot speed, but attack doesn't. Yeah. Oh, right, of course. Silly me. Don't do. Oh no, that one. Cancel. Don't do any of that. If you don't see. Now there's no numbers because there's no. And I click the button. Debugger did not explode, see? No red. Then we add filtration room. Now we got numbers. Debugger is not screaming. Every time we click though, yeah, the cooldown goes on, so that's fine. We should change that. And now we have power source and a filter, but there's no output. Now we got the debugger getting angry. So why? sounds like math transformed to the... Okay, so yeah, there's something... I'm angering the math god somehow. And we're doing that without a projection. Now, aren't we? Yeah, no bolt or beam, just that default rune there, which means... Means what, actually? Jesus. Wait, heckin', what? So what if we do the other way around? First we had that bolt. Click, nothing happens. And then we have the filter. Nothing happens. We have the power source. And it works out just fine. So if we do projection, filter, then power, we don't get the error. But if we just add a power source, it's not doing it. Just then a bolt, it doesn't do it. Then the filter. No heap of errors, but if we do just a filter, then a power. Now we get those errors. So okay, so what are those two doing? Yes, because I am checking whether the total value of damage in this case is smaller or less than 0. Of course, because the damage in this case will be inside the attack detail, the attack base. Attack base has a damage. Attack base here, the damage is set. Set bolt animation. Here we damage equals new damage. So we initialize this when we create the elemental power system here. Now, where are we initializing this? In the circle base. The attack base is the attack. We create a new one. We got waste, we got power. But no one should be touching this one. Yeah, final attack. Sure. New spell state. Yeah, every time we do that, we create a new one, put it inside attack. And at waste is elemental power new. So if we look at our filtration... Okay, we're gonna have to do one more. So, just the power. Just fuck all. Add a filter. Then we get getting the errors. And it seems to be doing that for as long as we got a freaking cooldown. So if we look at remote, player manager, runic circle, final attack, and damage. Dictionary. You're not supposed to be there. Right, the defaults here. Let's have a look see here, yeah, because it technically it does have one. I keep on forgetting that one. It does have one, even though it is incorrect. So that is causing. So it's default systems here that is causing issues. Ooh, definitely better than 480p at 5 FPS. I do miss having decent hardware. Yeah, good tools are amazing things. Lovely to have. Yeah, I'm hoping to get a chance to head to the store this weekend. I've been needing a new keyboard for ages. I got the money together. I just need to choose which one I want to get. Because this thing's buttons have been coming off for a while now. And it's getting a little annoying, a little difficult to use. So, rune projection. Jesus, come on. How do we... I mean, we passed the 2 hours already, but okay, we're gonna figure this one out. How do we change... Right. I'm stupid. There's no problem here. The problem is I'm creating something that should never be created right now that we actually have the resource things. This should not exist. Hey there, little bunny foo-foo, how you doing? Good morning. Good morning to you as well. Oh, I do believe it's more evening to you. Hope you're doing well. Nice seeing you around as always. So yeah, the problem is that the circle base is currently creating these like default runes of all types, and even them, they will always have their same logic, because once we give them filtration and power, even the most default rune projection will still do what it does. But then it has no type, it has no speed, it had none of that information. That is most likely what is causing the math to have a fit, and we get 906 freaking debug issues. It's good. I had a nap. What you making? Well, we're trying to make a game, because in the last year we've been doing the try jams almost every weekend. We've been doing our best, and then this year I decided to I need to start a long-term game project to make something slightly more complicated. And right now I'm trying to build the sort of attack crafting system that I want for my game, which is going to be a bit like Noita, in the sense that you use smaller components to build a larger attack. But unlike Noita, where you have like, here's a fireball, here's like a modifier like triple cast and so on, you have a power source, a filter, and then a projection. So you build the actual fireball from like individual runes in your runic circle as a powerful wizard. And the game will be, then how do you use these attacks? Well, the game itself will be more closer to Brotato. Well, where you go on a map, there's a timer, there's enemies, you kill them, you collect their drops. Well, no, it's a game, not the story. So that's the idea. So far, on day one, I got the graphics done pretty much for my testing platform, because that's the kind of stuff I've been doing for the past year. Quickly slapping together the kind of works. Now we have a little like menu here where I can see how stuff works. Now we're going to the point where that if you don't have proper runes set up and you click buttons, nothing happens. There's a cooldown timer that activates, and we should change that. If we don't have a real cooldown, this shouldn't do anything, but it's fine. Then we choose what is the element of our attack, what kind of power source we have, and what is the shape. So currently we have like a bolt. See, now we have enough here to be able to populate some of this. We'll choose its element to be fire, and we give it a power source. And now there's a fireball. It's not speed, it's at 100 size, it's 1x1 cooldown. See, the cooldown is determined by the efficiency of our system. So this one gives up more power, which means also it will eventually has more damage, but it also creates more waste, so it has a higher cooldown. And we're today be more working on trying to make these have more variability, which is sort of worked. And I'm trying to figure out how to make a beam, which also kind of works. Actually, it works pretty much perfectly, to be honest. Have the same cooldown, so this way we can procedurally make different kinds of attacks. Now, currently, yes, it's all super simplistic because it is more testing the logic behind anything in the engine itself, not that much designed to look cool. A good concept. You grab coffee for this. Well, thank you. That's the idea, because it's more like the runic magic system that's been like rolling around in my head for quite a while, and I really want to make it work. And the whole Brotato concept is more like just also a good way to have a platform to test your ideas. Now, if we have... wrong button. I hate the Windows button. It's so pointless. All it does is get in the freaking way. I never needed it. Not a single time in my life, other than for some shortcuts. Other than that, it's just in the way. Now, how did we determine... an array size? Oh, it's one of these freaking... Maybe one bubble could be a ducky. Could be. Yeah, eventually we'll be adding all kind of graphics and stuff to this. You know, I've already been talked into that we have to have our obligatory cat girl somewhere, and I thought, well, just one of the traders, we're gonna have to make a cat girl there, and because you know, the audience, they have expectations. Of course, if anything that I can sort of turn upside down for the hell of it because it's funny, I most likely will in some way. You know, if we make a lolly, but it's like a tiny hairy dude, you know, rather than your basic tiny anime girl. You know, that kind of weird shit, you know. I'm sorry, I like that kind of things. I think it's funny, playing with, against expectations for humor. Okay, let's see, resize. It says there is number of elements to size. If size is smaller, and there is current size, the elements at the end are removed. If size is greater, new default elements, usually null, are added. Yeah, we need, okay, so the problem is, yeah, we need default elements. Ugh. That is if you want to use an array for this, because the idea is you have a runic circle, right? So you then have to put different runes in there. The very first thing we're just building, you basically like three runes. The idea is to eventually have more complexity, more engineering. Rubber ducky, rare RNA spawns has a significant life crit. Yeah. Yeah. Could be fun, yeah. So, in that case, what happens if we just manually turn these all to null? Because they exist only to be placeholders. We could change, we might have to then look into rune bases. Like the base classes. Base state, or think of, is there a better way to have our various, the runes inside the rune circle? Because an array is handy, because then that way the runic circle will have a starting point and an ending point. But the thing is, I was also thinking, well, we might want to have one of them have like branching paths where I can then maybe add some logic or something like if this, that, otherwise do this, which means an array would no longer work. Then we need something like a linked list, which I think could work. Because when a linked list, it's also easy to count how many components are in there and so on. And they'd be just these sort of rune containers. So every runic circle is then designed, and it has its series of containers and so on. And maybe to make it my particular brand of kale, there is one singular strand of grass somewhere in your universe that if you search it, a bunny will pop out. And if you pet the bunny, a 0.01% chance that it will give you a rubber ducky. That is an OP item. Bum, bum, bum. Maybe. We'll see when we get there. In the beginning, we just have to figure out the plumbing for the house before we figure out the decorations and those final touches. Now we gotta just make it kind of run. So if we turn those to null, only you explode. You will. Wonderful. Enabling access to property or key, rune name, and a base object of type nil. Wonderful. So update circle visuals. For index in circle, this container get child count. Rune labels index is current runes. Current runes we get from player manager, runic circle, get rune array. Well, easy enough. We do good old if current runes but you also have where to give have to give the option for like kill the bunny, walk away, to know what you mean. Actually, better ratio if you pet the bunny and give the carrot. Pet the bunny, give it a carrot. It's a 0.01% chance. Bunny. Words need coffee. I know the feeling, bunny. I know the feeling, bunny foo foo. I do know that feeling. So, if current runes does not equal empty array, then do that shit. Which means we go into the back to the runic circle where we have a rune array. And we do no, we don't. Which means the menu here is stupid. Update circle visuals, current runes. Or index in circle of this container, get child count. Well, more, it's maybe better to do if. Look at current runes. And yes, I know we can just do if. We don't have to add that does not equal null or like, yeah, because just if this is implicitly indicating like equals 1 kind of thing. But we don't really give a shit about that. Because I like things to be sort of natural language, logical, visually clear as much as possible, because I will forget what the hell I was doing here eventually. So the faster I can get back on track by just reading through the code quickly, the easier it is for me. Now here we're checking like if it's not null, then you can write the thing. Okay. Click button, instant explosion. Non-existent function, activate rune base nil. Wonderful for rune in rune containers. Then we add if rune does not equal null. Do the thing. F8, save F6. If there aren't even a okay, it did not explode. We add a bolt. Okay. Power. Individually slowly being added. Okay, then air. Change that to beam. Well, once we have stuff inside, it works. Okay, I'm getting sort of annoyed at the bolt speed, so we're going to change that if nothing else. Click it here. You, my friend, go back to 200 in reshape. Maybe there aren't even a variation of rubber duckies after every boss fight somewhere. There's a chance for the RNG, regardless to the point. I think you have a good... regardless of the point, I think you have a good concept, and it's going to be a good test of your skills that you learned the past year or so. Yeah, buddy. Thank you. That is the idea, yeah, to sort of... Because I feel like the past year doing the mini-game jams, the try jams, have been really... They were really good for developing your sort of like... What is the core concept of a game? So they developed my ability to design. It became a lot better, a lot more streamlined nowadays. And they helped me focus, try to figure out what is actually important. Like, if I would have tried to make this thing a year ago, before I started those try jams properly, I would have spent way too much time on graphics and animation before we actually get to the meat and bones of the game. Like, what is the core concept? And that is why we're spending so much time now in getting this runic circle thing about working, because that is the very core of the game. You know, combat is also important, but that is secondary to the crafting. So crafting first, also because, you know, it's hard to make combat if you don't have attacks. And this year, and then by the end of the year, I was noticing myself sort of cramped by the limitations. Like, I wanted to do more. I wanted to add more. I want to figure out, how do I do proper settings? How do I think about accessibility? How do I, you know, make it look nice? And that is everything we're hoping to learn this year. Yeah. Remember, visualization is the first step of developing an idea. That's very true. And you need to make the game before you can make the game good. Exactly, Ketto. That is very true. Ketto Rev. I like a sketch. Yeah, buddy, I agree. And that is what we have. I start every day. So now I'm doing goals, but in the beginning, I'm using good old Krita here to like manually write. So what are we doing? So name to be determined. We're starting with DIY Wizard for now. And which was a good thing we didn't determine too much of a name. Here's the concept here in the beginning. How does this work? So we have a power rune, goes into a filter rune, goes into a projection. And this is literally how I wrote it to begin with. Shit didn't work. And now we're realizing that it is actually the circle who carries all the spell information, which is feeding it individually to the runes for them to edit. And in the end, we see what do we have now? What is this? Is this an attack? And we give it them to all in turn. And here we have the ideas of power pools in unattuned magic, which is currently what it does. Then filter removes all but desired elements, and projection determines the shape of the attack, and cooldowns determined by the filtered magic, so the waste. And the idea is because I want to be able to make these kind of more complex circles so they have multiple lines, so that we can have essentially some kind of logic running through this. Super simplistic, with like maybe some if-else statements, or then that, it always flows both ways, but depending on, so that way you can have, a power source and a filter, and then two separate kinds of projection runes, are two different bolts, because this one would lead to here and here, and here, and then we can have interesting interaction, and then maybe the player could choose to open or close some of these pathways, and then we have increasingly complex interaction between the runes is sort of what I'm hoping to get to. So you can make interesting builds. But we're going to start with the most basic components, which is what we're doing now, to make the game barely playable. And then we hopefully hope to make it slightly more playable. Prayer to execute, slot 1 by 5, yeah. I mean, that is what we're going through here step by step, and then I'm sort of just thinking out loud, visualizing things, doing my little silly documentation to help me just figure out what do we need to do. Like here, okay, circle base. This is how I then designed the class. First just literally wrote stuff down by hand before we coded anything. So I found that really helps me to have at least some kind of plan. And at this point, we're more like just make more projection rune. Beam. Oh yeah, we did that. Oh right, I'm in the wrong click. There we go. And say no. Beam is done. AoE question mark. We'll leave that as no. Make menu appear and disappear, and make pausing a thing. So we didn't do those this today, and we won't, because it's unimportant. It was more like if we have time, this would be just neat to put in already. Because it's sometimes a little annoying when I choose the runes and they keep on launching attacks into the menu, like this. Because, yeah. But it's fine, and we got these things working. The beam is working. We got these things now have an actually determinable speed and size. BRB coffee, yeah. So things are working out pretty well. We got a lot of stuff done today, even though, yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like, I feel like I have so little to show, but I feel like I still got so much done. Because even though we didn't add too many, filtration or power or variations of bolts, we now have all the components necessary, because we can be editing that singular bolt to make, your first rudimentary bolt system, and then we can make more advanced bolts in the future. Especially because the idea here is that currently, the power gives about, this is the raw amount of magic, which then divided into each elemental slot, essentially. And these have an efficiency and inefficiency, sort of how much of the desired element is filtered in, and then inefficiency is how much of the undesired is left. And then the bolt currently is a final filter, because essentially you could, if you had, say, a power source that was pre-filtered, you could skip a filter and just have a bolt, because it also does filtration, but only if there is a dominant element. And then we take the average of all the leftovers and we delete that as well from the current main element, because the amount of main element is essentially what determines damage. Then we have a damage multiplier, which we're not doing anything with, nor do we really have a way of detecting damage at impact. But the damage is inside the bolt, because we'll be seeing it through the actual the nodes themselves. So AoE can wait, because AoE is something will have to be a little more complicated, perhaps, because I'm hoping to then add things like, not everything has to be offensive. Maybe you can then have a character that has multiple runic circles, so you have a shield as well, and that kind of stuff. So every runic circle is at the core of every piece of equipment. the one. Are you gonna stick with 2D? Most likely, yeah. It'll probably go isometric or something like that to add some more depth to it. But we'll see. It could be that we won't. That is why I'm enjoying like building the logic like this, because then we can change into 3D. The logic doesn't care. It's just math. The 2D, 3D, that'll be then in the like final forms. So yeah, so first we're gonna stick with 2D to make our very sort of like, you know, alpha browser game, which we're gonna then be used as a base to make the actual proper game. And that one might be 3D. Who knows? I've never done it. I've done one 3D game. It was about a ball bouncing. And how are you doing there, Sankira? Nice seeing you. But I feel like we've done... See, these being like predetermined here wasn't mildly annoying me, so now that we have null pointers here, and we then have detecting like, hey, if you don't see anything, don't do anything, which is exactly the one kind of stuff I want, because I want to then be able to possibly make, like, you might not have to use every slot in your runic circle for it to function. Hello to you too. Hey. So now we can make... Okay, the beam is kind of shit, but it works. Which is the most important part. Because right now we're using the same animation for all of them. We're just flipping it and stretching it. And right now it stretches a little bit into the player as well, which is less than ideal, but I don't... That's an animation question. That is for when we deal with proper stuff. The idea of just that we now have different types of attack, and they do what we need them to do. So... what do we need to work on next time? Now that we're here, now that we got this slightly fresh in the brain. I think maybe we can already have a look at attack delivery next time. So we have the attack manager currently is just creating the attacks. We'll have the enemy manager might then do... We'll have to then, yeah, we'll figure it out when we get there. How do enemies attack? Because I want them to use the same system so that, you know, what any attack you see is technically doable by the player themselves. Or at least kinda. Because I think that's a sort of fun idea. And also would add more to the whole chance of making things more sort of procedural or modular kind of thing. Now, our attack, damage, elemental power. Yeah, we have that damage information. And because currently, if it does hit the enemy thing, it just if body is in group enemy, print enemy hit and queue free. So it just deletes itself. It just makes a little print. We'll see here. Oh, you don't see it that much because it's behind me. It's there. A little enemy hit. So we're gonna make damage numbers that pop up, and depending on the element of the attack, change color and show us how much damage was taken, because then the damage system will also then have to calculate, you know, potential resistances in the enemy. Yeah. That could work. Yeah. Because AoE is another thing that just scares me a little. Ooh, ads are starting. Perfect. I'm going to have a little break. And when we come back, I'm going to then probably start getting ready to change over the game. But I need to have a little break. So, see you soon. And I have returned. Alright then. Yeah. So. We have achieved things. Heckin' wonderful. So we can close, save that one. Save all scenes. We change back. The starting soon scene. And we start getting ready to dwarf some forts. Change the category. That's on the Twitch, and then we'll do the same on the YouTube side as well. So thank you everyone for hanging out. And now we will be ending the stream and then restarting immediately with the new the new category, because we can't switch categories in the middle in YouTube. It's annoying. But hey, see you soon, YouTube.